Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming. So I'm Nick, the co-founder and CEO of O, and we are rebuilding the creator economy on crypto AI rails, with that transforming how the industry functions and we believe creating a lot more value for the creator industry. So just contextualizing like what the actual industry looks like at the moment. So in terms of market size, the creator industry itself is around 500 billion. But if you look at what's built on top of the creator industry, which is arguably more interesting, that value balloons to around 3.5 trillion, which is equivalent to the automotive industry. Another quite interesting fact is actually the number of people involved in the creator industry. So there are around 200 million creators in the industry, which is the equivalent to all of these different industries combined. And most relevant for us, one of those facts which sounds fake but is actually real, 1 in 50 women in the US are OnlyFans creators. So all in all, between like the economics, but also the number of people involved in this, it's a really, really important socioeconomic industry, but we believe is being massively underutilized, and more value could be created within this industry from the number of people involved in it. So just looking at kind of where we stand at the moment. So Carmen Electra, for example, she's a massive celebrity. She's a great person. And if you just look at kind of this Pokemon style card of what she's able to do as a content creator. If you think of what the function of a content creator is, kind of the clue is in the name, it's about creating content. It's content is how you grow an audience. It's how you then monetize that audience. It's sort of everything, the life and blood of this industry and how these guys function. But when looking at what a real human is able to do versus an AI twin, it's just completely outsized of the amount of output and therefore the value which can be created by an AI twin. Whether it's just the efficiency of the costs, the scalability, adaptability, every single element of it is just far superior when it's looking at a AI content creator versus a human content creator. And a real life example, so this is another one of the creators signed up to O, Misty Ray. She's really innovative and forward thinking. So she's taken it upon herself to use her twin on her social media to be creating content for her social media instead of having to create it herself. And what she's seen as a result of that is that she gets average 30% higher engagement on content of her twin versus content of herself, which kind of just shows the appeal there of this type of content, especially considering that that takes no time at all, no cost, so it can just be like churned out at a really impressive scale. And that's kind of just the beginning. Like that's where we start with images, with text, with video, with voice. But where things are going, it's more video based. So this is the Dream Actor model, and it just gives an example of like where this kind of content is going. So in the top left, you can see a real video from a creator. You can take any image, this can be an AI generated image, and then you can combine them into that person basically doing the action in that video. So if you can imagine where this goes into the future, you can essentially just create infinite content, taking real world examples and then transposing it to the AI world and making that effectively infinitely scalable. Another example, so just more close to home, I guess. Here's me actually doing a presentation. Here's the AI me, which I brought to then Crossroads, spelled wrong because it's AI, so it's not yet perfect. And then I decided that seeing as I was going to wear a white t-shirt today, I'd make a new version of myself. So that isn't me, that's just an AI version, which looks relatively similar to me. So if you can imagine, probably next year, I might not be here in person. I'll just send that guy to do the talking for me. And then probably just like a wider example, I think we've all seen the Will Smith, pretty famous example from back in the day when AI video first kicked off, and he was sort of the benchmark. Him eating noodles was sort of the benchmark of like where AI is. And you can see that within 2 years, we go from a pretty crazy video there to like something that actually just looks completely realistic and could be a Hollywood film. So if you extrapolate that, it's a question of when, not if, that AI content will completely overtake real-world content. And then we just have to ask ourselves, if that's true, what does the world look like? So from our view, these are some of the benefits or some of the things which will be happening when crypto and AI take over the content creation industry. So from an economic standpoint, if the cost of content production becomes negligible, that really just changes where value accrues and how the industry functions. If you can imagine, let's say on something like OnlyFans, a piece of content goes from $10 to less than 10 cents. That is a massive shift, which will be happening in a very, very quick time. So that just fundamentally changes the industry. Where we believe that value will accrue is that it's kind of the IP and the personalization on top. So that's where creators can kind of create this value, is having this personal relationship, personal brand, and a parasocial relationship with their fan base. And then the content is kind of just a commoditized layer underneath that. And there's a kind of thing called Jevons paradox, where essentially when the cost of something becomes lower, the proliferation of it massively increases. And it just becomes, kind of available everywhere. And that actually leads to a net increase in the amount of value that's created. So that's what we believe is happening here. In terms of crypto, stablecoin payments, we think will be absolutely massive. So if you can imagine in this very global world, stablecoin payments makes a lot of sense, much cheaper, much more efficient. But then it's also very transparent. So in this creator industry, quite a lot of unethical practices happen, people taking money from different places. But in this world where everything is a stablecoin payment, it can all be automated, transparent, trustless, and verifiable, which we think will be really good for creators and pretty much everyone. And then the democratization of adult industry profits. So this is where I'll come on to later, but something that we're doing is trying to enable anybody to be able to essentially monetize from this industry and get value, because one of the interesting quirks about the adult industry is that it's the industry with the least publicly traded businesses on earth, behind arms, marijuana, gambling, kind of any business or sector. And we believe that's wrong. So at the moment, the only people really able to get value from that industry are private individuals, which just kind of monopolize the space, or people who actually become creators within the space. So if you're not one of those two things, you're not able to seek value from this massive industry, which we believe is wrong. So through crypto, through NFTs, we'll be able to change that and make it that anyone can earn from that sector, which we think is very exciting. Operationally, as I mentioned, the kind of scalability and availability of creators massively changes. So they can now be available 24/7, which is amazing for fans, because now living in different places in the world, or whenever you want to be able to access a creator, you can now do so when you're accessing a digital twin rather than the real world person. But for the actual person behind it as well, it's amazing because you're constantly earning, which is obviously impossible for a real human to do, which is where we see this explosion of value, because you go from maybe working 1-2 hours a day creating content and engaging with fans to literally 24/7 and millions of concurrent experiences with fans. So we see the value massively exploding there. Total personalization. So it's just completely unfeasible that a real creator would be able to personalize each single request which a fan has. That changes. And again, that's a win-win for fans and creators. Transparent ownership structures, kind of what it says on the tin. And then probably most interesting is the security and privacy. So it's a bit of an underrated thing, because people kind of doom post about AI and watch too much Black Mirror, and they think that it's like a really scary thing that's happening. But in actual fact, particularly for the spicy creator industry, it's amazing in the sense that once you've built in the moderation, instead of relying on user-generated content or creator-generated content and then moderating it, which has a form of human error, and obviously then some stuff slips through, you build moderation into the point of content creation itself, which is infinitely scalable and just a much safer environment for fans and creators. And then complete privacy for users as well. So the industry's worst kept secret is that a lot of these platforms essentially hire management agencies to do the kind of engaging with fans on behalf of creators, which means that when you're speaking to a creator, you're not actually speaking to a creator, you're speaking to someone hired on behalf of them to impersonate them. And that is obviously a massive privacy issue, but also privacy for the creators themselves. So what we're trying to build is the ability for anyone to earn like a creator without actually having to be a creator, which means that you can reap all of the benefits of being a celebrity, all the money that comes with that, but not having to expose yourself to the fame or a lot of the privacy issues that come with actually being somebody of notoriety. And then also importantly, more specifically for our kind of spicy creators intersection, is censorship resistance. So again, worst kept secret in the world. Banks hate this industry. If you are an OnlyFans creator, you often get debanked, and it's just very difficult to kind of access the financial system. So moving to crypto rails and away from the TradFi world means that this can be a much more censorship-resistant industry and allow these creators to flourish in this sector. Which comes on to what we're specifically doing to kind of like, if you believe that what I've said is true, hopefully you do, then what we're trying to build is kind of the rails through which that is brought to life. So we have kind of 4 things which we mainly focus on. OChat is the home of spicy AI creators. It's essentially an AI OnlyFans type platform where consumers can chat, swap messages, voice messages, videos with digital twins of their favorite creators, who then the creator represented in the twin receives 80% of the revenue generated by their twin, and then also engage with completely synthetic characters who don't represent anybody at all. And the next step of what we're doing, which we're really excited about, is a platform called OFun. So this is the ability for anyone to create, own, and monetize their own AI creator. It's an agent, so you just type in a prompt for what you want this character to be. You then own it, and you receive 80% of the revenue that's generated by this character. It autonomously generates its own content, markets itself on social media, builds up an audience, and then monetizes them on OChat and beyond, and then sends you the money at the end of the month. So it's a way just for anybody to tap into this industry without having to do any work and to reap the benefits of that. And then kind of touching on that, earning on OChat and beyond, we have an API as well. So what we enable there, which is unique completely to us, is that while we have creators on one side who have digital twins, and we have this API which enables anybody to tap into the AI which we've created, kind of the most interesting thing for me there is that the creators can then appear via that API on infinite numbers of platforms. So you can now just be across the entire internet via the API, and be exposed to different audiences and distributed all across the internet. And through the OFun platform, we're then enabling the tokenization of these characters' earnings, and therefore the speculation on kind of whether this character will be popular or not, and creating an entire tokenized economy around these creators, which, if you can imagine that this entire industry is then being brought to a digital sphere, we believe that the ability for anybody to tap into that from a financial sense, from a creator sense, without having to kind of be a creator themselves, is a massive opportunity within this space. Just kind of summarizing what we see the key benefits of being a digital twin is ownership, so complete control over the digital identity of yourself. You no longer have to have a management team sign away your rights. You control it completely. You are in control of your AI. Engagement, so just infinite amount of scalability and content creation and engagement with the fans on a personal basis. Availability, as mentioned, you no longer have to actually do the work on engaging with fans. You can now focus on other endeavors which might be more kind of profitable, or just building up your audience in a more personalized way, while the actual work that happens in engaging the fans is done by your AI twin. And through all of that, the revenue streams are massively, massively increased. So we see this being a huge explosion for the creator industry and a really exciting time. Thank you for listening. And if you want to see anything about O, then please follow that QR.